Why did y'all let him rock if he was the one responsible for not just the MLK shit, putting us in a burning house? He sat back and watched this whole shit fall apart. Okay. But yeah,
I'm good on paying respects on this one. I'm good paying respects on this one because this man is responsible in selling us out to the United States government, and he's responsible for the title African American. I'm not paying respects to this one. I don't pay respects to dead sellouts. So, hey, if you ask me, you're sizzling. You're sizzling right now. And it's crazy that he turned around and tell the United States government that we African American while he claiming to be Cherokee. Good paying respects on this one because this man is responsible in selling us out to the United States government, and he's responsible for the title African American. I'm not paying respects to this one. I don't pay respects to dead sellouts. So, hey, if you ask me, you're sizzling. You're sizzling right now. And it's crazy that he turned around and tell the United States government that we African American while he claiming to be Cherokee. So like I said, you're sizzling. You can have this one. You can have this one. You paying your respects and you claiming you an Indian and you say, shit, still rest in peace. Use the fool.
We were in the meeting, and someone said, Reverend Billy Cowles is outside, and he's upset. And Dr. King said, oh, my God, I forgot to tell y'all. I promised his wife, who's supposed to be a great soul food cooker, we'd have our feet on her table at 5:30. Now it's 5:45, and we sit in the meeting. Dr. King said, everybody rush, rush, rush. And get ready in a hurry. Let's go. So I ran down and got to my room. My key wouldn't open my door for some strange reason. The limousine that had been loaned to us, I opened my door. I could touch the limousine. And finally I heard the driver tell Dr. King, Dr. King, I advise you get your top coat, because even though I have the car on, it's still chilly. And the last words he said in this world, okay, Jonesy, I'll get my top coat. And I heard this thing say, pow! And I honestly thought someone had thrown a firecracker into the air. And I looked around to rebuke whoever was that stupid. And I heard something, bloop-a-loop, fell up above my head. And I looked up, and his leg was sticking through the rail. Dr. King only wore one type of sock and one type of shoe. And I knew that was him. I said, oh, my God, they got it. And then I had to run about 50 feet down and back up, and I got to him. And Ralph was holding his head, and Andy was there. And a guy from Africa who had been traveling with us as a newsman from Africa. We found out later on he was working for the CIA. No, the FBI, working for the FBI. And he had taken a lot of pictures of Dr. King. And I grabbed him in and threw out and started choking him, because the bullet hit Dr. King right here. And went round and cut his medulla oblongata. And I didn't want people to remember Dr. King with half his face shut off. So Andy ran and got a towel. And somehow or another they took one more picture after I made him empty that camera. And it shows Dr. King down with a towel on his face. But I'm going to tell you, I was an expert gunner in World War II. When I ran up on that balcony, and I looked from whence that bullet had to come, the distance of that bullet, and just could feel the wind blowing that day, I said, whomever shot that rifle was one of the best in the world. He shot one bullet. And I believe that Dr. King hadn't moved to go back and get his top coat, the bullet would have hit him between the eyes. The bullet hit him right here. But what happened, and then Ralph said, we'll go in and take him on to the hospital. Jose, you get all the staff together. 3 of us saw it, Dr. King, after he was shot. 3 SLC executive staff members. Andy, Abernathy, and Jose Williams. Those are the 3 that saw that body. Now listen to that. So I got in the yard, and I was about to lose my cool, because I was thinking if I could take some molecules out there and make me some guns and kill me some white folks. And one man said, now be cool. You're doing the same thing you promised me you'd never do. And I started crying, and then I heard Jesse Jackson say, he told me, Jesse, take our people onto the mountaintop. And that didn't bother me, even though I know Jesse got nowhere near him. And then Jesse said, I held his head in my hand while he died. And that didn't get to me. And then Jesse said, look at my shirt. And I looked around, sure enough, and Jesse Jackson's shirt was drenched in blood. And I realized the only way Jesse could have gotten that blood was stooped out on that floor at the Lorraine Motel and raked that blood off that floor and put that blood on him. And I went crazy. I really tried to kill Jesse. They grabbed us and all that, but that hurt me so bad. The other thing was, when Abernathy came back, says, no need of prayer, no need of cry, no need of nothing. He is gone. It's over with. He's gone to glory. And we called the meeting, the staff meeting, and Jesse claimed to have been ill. And Abernathy told him, Jesse, go ahead to the room and relax. Jesse had to have run like hell that room into that airport because he got out of Memphis to Chicago. All us feeling, everybody was still in the motel. Cut the televisions on the next morning. That was Jesse Jackson in Chicago with that same bloody shirt on, telling that same lie. I've never respected Jesse since that moment. When they shot Dr. King, a black guy come running around that corner saying, he went that way, he went that way. James Earl Ray no more killed Dr. King, and I killed him. And everybody knew it. He was a patsy set up. And the guy said, went that way, went that way. I said, who went that way? He said, that man ran out that building and dropped the rifle on the sidewalk and jumped in a white Mustang, had a red Alabama tag and took off. Well, hell, I wasn't worried. That's no car in America look like a Mustang, but a Mustang, a white with red Alabama tag. Where's he going? The police have him like that. And I asked that rifle was left on that sidewalk. That was the rifle that James Earl.
I was trying to tell y'all.
To all my black brothers and sisters, if you don't know by now, Martin Luther King.
Look, I ain't about to, like I said, so nobody feel like it's blasphemy, right? I'ma let his people talk. Now, we all know when our people is lying, and we all know when our people telling the truth. And we could listen. We all got black ears. We could listen in, and that man that, because if he was lying, he would have got sued by Jesse Jackson. It seemed that Jesse Jackson trying to avoid that man all his life. He ain't the only one that said that. Dick Gregory called out Jesse Jackson. Steve Coakley, who people, I don't know if you know, there's a lot of students that don't even know about Steve Coakley and his impact, but Steve Coakley is the one who introduced the boule to Black America, to the Black community. It was his research. So Steve Coakley was the premier researcher before even Bobby and Phil's era, before Bobby and Phil and Phil Valentine's lecture era. Steve Coakley was the one out there hitting them upside the head, doing the research and dropping receipts. And he got about 4 videos about your boy. I'm gonna play one, not right now, but I'm gonna do it in the edits and whatnot. So yeah, that part.
King was a plant. Everything, and I mean every single thing that we learned in school was literally a lie. There's a reason why there's a Martin Luther King Day, but there's not a Fred Hampton Day. There's also a reason why there's not a Malcolm X Day. There's also a reason why there's not a Louis Farrakhan Day. The real ones know, but a lot of my black brothers and sisters that I talk to on a day-to-day basis seem to not really understand, and I think it's because a lot of them truly believe the things that we were told, and just, you know, ignorance is bliss. The destruction of the black community within America is probably one of the deepest rabbit holes that you can go down. And the reason why it's so deep is in order to understand it, you have to unlearn every single thing that we learned in school. It starts with the lie that we came from Africa on slave ships. And the psychosis continues with a lie of omission. A lie of omission is when you withhold relevant information from a story.
Yes.
One of the most relevant parts of the Black American story is that we were having success in the 100 years following the Emancipation Proclamation.
That word, a lie of omission. This is how our so-called allies keep us dumb. This is how people and their friends, who they like, nah, my friends are cool, they could say nigga. This is how they keep us in a perpetual place of quote unquote checkmate. They omit things. They're withholding information. They're not telling you the full truth. You know why? You know how I could say that? Why hasn't no white person come out and leaked their parents' emails? Why is it only Epstein's emails that we're reading? Why didn't nobody else? I mean, there's a million people on the planet using emails at any given day. Why is it with all of the, well, this is what Epstein's emails really mean? I'm not impressed. I want to see somebody from the Mayonnaise Coalition start leaking their people's emails. We need more email leaks. Okay, emails are the new evidence. Leak the text messages or something. Give us, I need y'all to dox the KKK. They're not following up with they're just blaming, Watergate. That was in Epstein's email. He sent out a tweet. He did that. Did you know that Epstein did 9/11? Yeah, he sent an email to
And the psychosis continues with a lie of omission. A lie of omission is when you withhold relevant information from a story.
Yes.
One of the most relevant parts of the Black American story is that we were having success in the 100 years following the Emancipation Proclamation. Not only were we having success, but we had ownership in a number of different domains. And a lot of people don't know this, but when the Civil Rights Movement came along, it was majority young people that were involved in it. If you look at all of these people that were involved in the Civil Rights Movement around Martin Luther King and everything, they were all young. And the reason for this is because they were young and naive. A lot of those individuals from that movement that were a part of the Civil Rights Movement, they had stories about how their parents told them not to go to these protests, not to go to these marches, because their parents, who were smarter, did not agree with the Civil Rights Movement. Now let's talk about the Civil Rights Movement. The only thing that it moved was the majority of Black people into the Democratic Party. And ever since, 85% and up of Black people have been voting for Democrats in the presidential election. And you may say, oh, well, what about the rights that you guys gained? Well, let's talk about it. I guess you could say we gained the right to integrate into society. But if you ask me, I'd rather not integrate into a society that I'm going to be destroyed in when I can have my own community separate from the rest of society where those communities are thriving. We have hospitals, we have banks, we have ownership, and both parents are going to be in the household. And if you just look at the statistics, don't even take opinion into account. Just look at the statistics. If you look at before the Civil Rights Movement, majority of Black homes had a mother and a father. More farms in the United States were either owned or worked by Black Americans. This is one of the saddest ones. Incarceration rates exploded, especially amongst men within the Black community since the 1960s. There's been a lack of generational wealth building within the Black community. And abortion wasn't even legal in the 1960s. But today, Black women abort their babies at the highest rate. And if you just look at the mainstream historical account of the United States, the majority of things that have been a detriment to the Black community stemmed from things that were happening within the Civil Rights Movement. Therefore, I am to conclude that the Civil Rights Movement was bad, and therefore, the leader of that movement was a plant. And the reason why I say that he is a plant goes a lot deeper. However, I can't really say too much, but if you're interested, just look up who spoke before Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech.